On to you, Capricorns. Hopefully, y'all are having a good day. Okay, so for you, you actually have the Ten of Swords. You Capricorns have the Eight of Pentacles, but then you also have the Five of Cups. So you know what these three cards show me? It shows me that you Capricorns, the Ten of Swords, y'all are in a space where you got over your survivor's remorse, feeling like you owed people for being in a much better disposition now. You know, you feeling like you were down before, and you were, right? You know, Capricorns, a lot of y'all usually have to deal with that before you're in a space where you actually get to where it is that you want to go. Capricorn, y'all represent the long, hard journey, the twisting and winding, road to get to the top. And then you get to the top. Sorry, that's cat and dog here. But you get to the top, and now you're in a position where you actually can really say what it is that you want because you're at the top. You worked so hard to get here. You deserve it because you worked hard to get it. You understood what people wanted. You understood. You learned all the lessons that life ever threw at you. And so you're inheriting all of the benefit because you're not just burying your head in the sand and saying, okay, you're going to ignore what's happening around you. No, you choose to embrace it and address it. And so the situation is the Eight of Pentacles and the Five of Cups. Once again, you're doing the things that you wanted to do on your own. You're doing the vast majority of it. You're actually getting a chance. I know it doesn't look celebratory, but the Five of Cups represents you wish that you would have had this sooner, but it also represents thankfulness, gratefulness. So it's not a matter of you being in that kind of disposition where you don't feel grateful. As a matter of fact, it means that you Capricorns are grateful. You're very grateful, right? You're so grateful to the point where you Capricorns can't hide how grateful you actually are and even keep a poker face. Because I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes it feels like, the Most High abandoned you. I'm just gonna say what it is. Sometimes it feels like, but what about me? How come I don't get a chance to shine? Everybody gets a chance to shine. How come I don't get one? And so this is your chance. Not only is it your chance to shine, this is your time. You will have that light for the rest of your life, as long as you learn your life lessons and as long as you don't get scared of the life lessons and you learn, you actually do something with those lessons. And then you Capricorns have the Emperor and the Nine of Swords. And so this is a reoccurrence about like you Capricorns worrying about if you're going to fail, if certain things are not going to actually end up being what they were supposed to be. And I'm here to tell you, Capricorns, that that's not necessarily really the case. You Capricorns are overthinking and over precautious about nothing. As long as you stay away from people who are dysfunctional, stay away from people who just want to use you, stay away from, learn your lessons, stay away from people who just want your money and to use you and stuff like this, you should be good. Learn your lessons, don't do anything stupid, and you should be all right. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Like for me, for instance, that the story is supposed to be about, like when you come up, the story is supposed to be about, you get a lot of people who are interested in you, you're making more money, you get people who are more interested in you, blah, 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 blah. But what about if you're a student of the game? What about if you just look at other people who are much more successful than you already doing it, and you say, you know what, I'm going to stay away from this one and that one and this one and that one, right? Or not just them specifically, but their type, that who they actually are, right? Their archetype. What happens then? What happens, like even for me, what happens if I just keep my head in the book, no matter how much money I'm making, continue to invest it, pay my bills, continue to do what it is that I got to do, and I just stay focused, and I stay out of the way? What happens then? What happens if I don't spend any of my time, my focus, my energy, my resources on trying to be too social? Not I don't have a problem being social, but I mean like being too social, right? Trying to hang out with all these different people, overspend on this and overspend on that. What if I just stay focused? What? Hold on a second. Anyway, so yeah, so the situation with that is that what happens then? What happens, right? You know, and the thing about it is that, you know, then right next to it you have the Emperor. So the Emperor represents you Capricorns having so much, but then you have the Nine of Swords. Now the focus is on maintaining and even growing that, what it is that you have, figuring out ways to not slow the progress down. How can you evolve? What is a different way in which you can evolve and get better with time, right? Capricorn rules over time. And the answer to that question is that has to come from your own creativity. But it also represents to stop overthinking. Stop being in a place where you get scared. Stop doing that, because all that's going to do is put you in a fearful state, in a scared state. You don't want to be that, right? You know, I've talked about this before briefly, but I've talked about this before. You know, 50 Cent lost all of his fortune at some point. He was going broke at some point because the you know, allegedly he had, you know, a mansion that he was renting out that was too expensive. What did 50 Cent do? Cut his losses, and he eventually bounced back. You know, Mike Tyson cut his losses because he went broke twice, I think, and he made his no, yeah, he went broke twice and then made back his fortune twice, I think. So again, you can always remake it again. Stop the worrying. So then you have the Six of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, and then you have the Page of Swords. These three cards right here for you, Capricorns, right? The Six of Swords represent how you're in a place where for you, the Six of Swords ultimately is about how you need to have fun. You know, you need to have fun with this pressure on your shoulders. You really do, because at the end of the day, it's pressure to be poor. It's pressure to be destitute. It's pressure to be penniless, but it's also pressure to be at the top too. You just have to be able to understand what kind of pressure you want. It's pressure regardless, either way. And so the thing is that the Two of Pentacles and the Page of Swords right here for you represents how this is a situation for you where the Two of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, so you in the past, you were in your way. And you're a little bit in your way right now, if I'm being honest with you. Because you have all these different scenarios in your head that more than likely isn't even going to play out. Like, what's going to happen if this? What's going to happen if that? Stop worrying about it. You're on point. You're on top, right? The next best thing for you Capricorns is to figure out where to place your money. That's it. And how to where to place your money to multiply it. That's it. That's what it is that you got to figure out. This nonsense about what happens if you lose it. What if this? What if that? Listen, nothing in life has guarantees. Nothing in life has guarantees. You see what I'm saying? Except you're gonna, you know, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you know, you know. But then you have the Lovers, and then you Capricorns also have the Six of Wands too, right? You got to start looking after yourself a lot more. You got to start accepting the fact that it's pressure regardless, because it's not going to feel good if you are penniless, but you have all these friends, but then you can't pay for anything. You can't afford to do the things that you want to do. It's pressure then too. You feel me? Like it's pressure regardless of to who to what. It just depends on who's the people who are willing to actually let that pressure rest on their shoulders, so to speak, and who can bear that kind of weight. I feel pressure even with these tarot cards, with these tarot cards, and doing my thing and running this business and stuff like this. You'd think I don't feel pressure. Of course I do. But at the same time, it is what it is. It's a pressure that I literally sought to get. You dig what I'm saying? I said, look, if I can make a full-time income off of this, I don't care how much pressure I have. I will bear that weight because I am willing to work for it and build it. And it looks like it's happening. Looks like it. And so the situation is, oh, aren't you worried about it? I'm not really. Because at the end of the day, if I lose it all, I will rebuild. I will be back and continue to rebuild and be in a better disposition than where I was. So let's clarify the Lovers card. You have the Two of Wands, Three of Swords, the Six of Wands, Nine of Pentacles, and then you have the Knight of Cups to clarify the Lovers. So these three cards right here for you represent how a lot of you are in a position where for you to clarify the Lovers, right? The Two of Wands, the Three of Swords, and the Six of Wands right here represents, see, a lot of those people that you were hanging around, that you stopped communicating with, they are so jealous of you. But at the same time, what? If they were to get themselves in your disposition, they still wouldn't be able to actually handle any of the weight that you Capricorns have on your shoulders. You Capricorns can bear that weight. Okay? The planet Saturn is one of the most pressurized atmospheric planets in our solar system. The atmosphere, the actual atmosphere on Saturn is so pressurized to the point where instead of it raining like drops, like water drops, it rains diamonds. That's how much pressure is actually in the atmosphere. And then after a certain time, right, the diamonds that it rains, it liquefies. That's how much pressure is in the atmosphere or I should say, that makes up Saturn. You got to stop worrying about all of this pressure that you were born with on your shoulders. You can bear the weight. So bear the weight. And so what happens is that the Nine of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups represents how, and you will be able to do it once you accept it, and you will be able to do it well and still, carry yourself with honor and integrity and walk with your head held high and feel proud of yourself. It's all a part of the journey of you Capricorns feeling proud of yourself. Because do you know how proud you Capricorns are feeling now? Imagine how proud you Capricorns will feel later, a year from now, when the fact that you still carry yourself with dignity and you have, despite all this pressure that's on your shoulders, and yet you do it, and you do it at a high level, and you're successful with it. Let's clarify the Six of Wands. Two of Cups, Ten of Wands, Ace of Cups, Lovers, see? And then you have the Knight of Pentacles. You see what I'm talking about? Two of Cups, Ten of Wands, Ace of Cups. And then the people that will hang around you have to be qualified to hang around you. Why? Because they got to have something going. And they got to be able to work with you and figure out ways to work with you and not against you. See, when you have so many people around you, they can work against you, even though it's not advised, but they can work against you. Why? Because they don't really have much going on. But then when you put yourself in a position where you have something going on, that puts you in a position where things need to make sense. So if a person is hanging around you on some Lovers and the Nine of Pentacles, if a person is hanging around you and they don't actually care about you for real, then they got to get out of your way. Easy like that. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. Trying to get the YouTube channel to 100K. Right now, right now we are at 24,800 and I think 25 subscribers. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, set that notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop my videos. Appreciate you.